Hey guys, how are you? Well, welcome to my talk. This is Breaking the Binary Wall with Vue.js. First of all, my name is Ignacio Anaya. You can call me Nacho, as the chips. That is my Twitter handle, so if you have questions or everything, you can reach me there. Basically, I am full stack developer, I also text writer, and I am trying to be a speaker now. I am ambassador at OutZero, so if you have questions about that, you can reach me later. And I am organizer at Vue.js Buenos Aires, and it's the conference about, the meetup about Vue.js in Buenos Aires. We have a perfect match in our names. So thank you to media, and this conference is awesome, so thank you for hosting me. I am really happy to be here. I will start the talk asking you, so I need that you raise your hands. How many of you have used Angular before? Cool. And how many of you have used React before? Okay. How many of you have used Vue.js before? Well, not too bad. Okay, and that is a little bit of my idea. What I think is right now in the front-end world we have a gap, okay? We have two great options that are React.js and Angular, and most of the people are trying to pick between those options. But there are also several alternatives, not just Vue.js and other frameworks, that are good possibilities to start working on, are good alternatives with great features, with good support, with good communities. But we used to mine, or there's a gap where we have Angular on one side with an architecture and React on the other side with another architecture. And what I think is that Vue.js is in the middle of this gap. It's combined the best parts of Angular and the best parts of React to build something different, not sure if better or not, but different, that works pretty well with great results, with great performance, with a great community. So it's not just about an introduction to Vue.js, it's also a reminder that sometimes we need to break our mindsets to find better solutions. I mean, paradigms are good, but sometimes you get used to those paradigms, and it's good to start thinking different for build better things. I mean, this JavaScript fatigue, I know it's painful, but sometimes it's the reason because we have great options, great tools in the JavaScript ecosystem. So it's okay to sometimes start thinking in new paradigms. So let's start talking about some numbers. This is around, I think that this number was from yesterday, but it's about 100K of downloads per month in NPM. It's a great number. Obviously, those numbers are from Vue.js. This is the stars that we have in GitHub, almost 70K of stars. It's one of the top 10 trending projects in GitHub in the whole history. I mean, comparing with other kind of languages, frameworks, or platform, whatever. So it's top 10 in there. Also, I think React is there too. But it's not just a small project, okay? We have really a lot of people using it and a lot of people supporting it. And this is what I really like. We have in Vue.js DevTools that are basically Chrome apps or Firefox apps. And we have around 250 users who download those apps. And this is a number that I really like because it's an assertion of the amount of users that we have in Vue.js now. So it's basically that we can say that Vue.js has around 250K of users using it. But it's not a small number. Let's talk about the companies using Vue.js. Most of them are Chinese companies. For example, Alibaba is probably one of the biggest e-commerce in the world. But we also have some technology companies as GitLab and CodeShip, probably products that we use every day, that are using or moving to Vue.js in some parts of their applications. Also Adobe, NBC, well, and a lot of Chinese big companies, and probably other smaller companies starting to try it. Even Facebook and Airbnb has some demos in Vue.js where you can check how it works. What's about the community? Well, those are companies supporting Vue.js. Remember that Vue.js it's an open source project without any company, any big company behind it. There is no Facebook, there is no Google, support in Vue.js. There is no full team or a paid-full team working on that. It's just companies putting money, developers putting money because they think that it's a good solution, a good alternative, and the community let Vue.js, let Evan Vue, the creator of Vue.js, start working full-time on it. I mean, the community is paying to the core team member to keep working the framework, to keep doing awesome stuff. And it's not giving free money. If you take a look to the Vue.js organization, you can see that there are a lot of projects, there are a lot of alternatives, tools, so there is not just Vue.js, it's an entire ecosystem they are working on, okay? It's not a small thing, it's something really big. So, why Vue.js? And the idea behind Vue.js is about complexity. And anytime we start a project, we have two kinds of complexities, the inherent complexity and instrumental complexity. The inherent complexity is the project. Is the complexity that we can change. I mean, if we need to do that project, we need to resolve that. We have those requirements. We can change that. We can quit our show, but if not, we need to solve it, okay? There is no alternative. And then we have the instrumental complexity. And this instrumental complexity is the price we pay to solve the project, the price we pay for the tools that we are going to use to resolve the inherent complexity. Okay, if we need to use a framework, a tool, a library, whatever, we need to learn that. We need to lead or deal with the errors or bugs or whatever of those tools. Okay, so it's the price we are going to pay. And we have a problem with that. So what happened with these complexities is that we cannot use a hammer to build a stadium, and we cannot use a crane to build a house. We can't really, but the idea is that we pick the correct tools for the correct project, okay? So use the crane to build the stadium and use the hammer to build the house, right? Because if not, we are using something like Angular to build a landing page, so a really complex tool to build something really simple, or we are using jQuery to build a single page application, so a complex project with a simple tool, okay? So the idea is that to keep those complexities at the same level, always. And that is the idea behind Vue. Not get an overkill, but don't also get, always get enough of what you need. And that's the idea behind this progressive framework, okay? Why progressive? Because it starts as something simple, but it can scale if you need it. If you have more requirements, if you have more things to do, you have the proper tools, the proper UI things, the proper libraries, the proper whatever, to scale the application regarding your requirements. But if you need to build something simple, keep it simple, not overkill, okay? And this is where Vue.js is pretty similar to React. So Vue, it's Vue focus. So there is the Vue layer of the MV whatever pattern. It's based in a core, okay, so something really simple that could scale. It has virtual DOM. It's not the same implementation. Technically, seems to be faster than React implementation. There is a third-party benchmark where you can check the performance between the different frameworks, and Vue.js has better performance than the other alternatives, or most of the other alternatives. It's reactive as React, and it's based on web components. If you have seen the talk yesterday about web components, it's great because Vue.js is the more assert alternative or implementation of the web components specification of the W3C. I mean, from the real specification of what seems to be the native implementation of that in the future. This chart, I like this chart because it represents in some way the Vue.js ecosystem. So the first two circles, the red ones, represents Vue.js, the core, okay? Declarative rendering and component system, just that. And the other things are layers that we can add to our onion if we need it, okay? But if not, we keep it simple, just the core. If we need client-side routing, we have the router. If we need state management, we have tools for that. We can also add consistent, Webpack or Certify, whatever. We can create server-side rendering applications with Nuxt or with native options. We can also create mobile native rendering with Nuxt.js and Vue.js. So If we need more complex stuff, we have the proper tools, but if not, just keep it simple. So, declarative rendering. The idea behind this is it's basically the process of writing and be focused in the outcome and not in the implementation. I mean, I want to do it, but I don't really care how to do it. So the idea is that we have a state. This state has our information, and this state triggers a random function to compile the view. Okay? And the view could change because the user can interact with us. Is it working? Okay. So the user can interact with us, can change data, can make a click, can do whatever. So in that case, the user input could make changes in our state, in our data, and it will trigger again the render function, and will trigger again a new view with the new data. So that's the idea of this cycle of updates between the user, the view, and the code. What you can see here, it's a hello world in Vue.js, and this is what I really like. It's pretty simple, so we can copy this, put it in CodePen, and this will work. We don't need extra tools, we don't need TypeScript, NPM, or nothing else than this. And the first line is the reference. The second block is the HTML part. It's an HTML with a div, which has an ID APP, and inside it's an expression with mustache syntax. This is pretty similar to Angular. We're going to see now some parts that are similar to Angular. And then we have the script where we set or we create a view instance using the view constructor, and the view instance gets an object as parameter. The first element or the first property of that object is the element where we are going to mount the app. You can see that it's a selector, it says CSS using ID APP. And then we have a function that it's the data function where we store all the properties that we want to use inside our view model and even inside our HTML. So everything we have in data, we can use it in the HTML. That's the idea behind this declarative rendering. But what about templates? Well, most of people, probably React developers, don't like templates. Okay, that's fine. It's really okay. We have render functions too. So basically, when you are using templates, you are also using render functions. But now, with these render functions, you can use JSX. So no more templates. Just get the same way, the same view model, keep it simple, but using render functions with JSX, for example, in this case. Okay, so it's pretty flexible, and this is what Vue tries to do. Not force you to pick something, just let you pick between different options. Okay, there's no one way to do the things. So what about the component system? The idea behind this is to build components or modularize our application in web components. Those components should be as small as possible, okay, with single responsibilities. Could be reusables or not, okay? Maybe we build a button that we can reuse in different pages, but maybe we want to split our page in a layout, like putting the header in some place, the footer in our place, the container. So in that case, we are giving semantic to our code, but there is no we are not reusing those components, and it's not bad, it's okay. And the idea behind it is also semantic. I mean, we have these HTML5 features with semantic, but it's great that we can add our own context to the components, our own name, so we can read the code and it's pretty easy to follow. So, what about this? I can read this code and understand what's going on without having lines and lines of HTML that probably does not make any sense. So I have a toolbar, I have a container, a login form, annoying banners, bottom bar, okay? So later I can take a look to those modules, to those components, and see what else I have there. But when I'm implementing that, it's a code really easy to maintain, really easy to keep growing, and to work with multiple teams. So it's awesome to get that, okay? And this is what I really love about Vue.js. .vue files or single file components are files with extension .vue where you can build one component in one file. So in this .vue file that are not natives, I mean you cannot use it default in the browser obviously. You need tools as Browserify or Webpack to do that. But in these files you have everything the component needs to exist. You have the template, we will see later in code, don't worry. We have the template, basically the HTML part. We have the script, the JavaScript, the logic, the functionality, and we have the style, so the design there. So this component, I have this component in this project, I can take this component out and put it in another project and should work because it has everything it needs to exist, to work, it's there. And we also have these hooks in the components. These hooks are like stages, different stages that the component, that happens when the component is created. We have these events where we can trigger some code, some functionality if we need it in some specific moments of the component lifecycle. For example, we have the created function to trigger functionality when the component is created. We have destroy, we have updated, we have mounted. So different situations where the component will go. So there we can trigger the code we need. How about communication? Well, communication between components is same as React, same as web components standard. Properties down, so basically parent components send properties to child components as HTML attributes. And events up, so the child components interact with the parents emitting events. So in that way, the properties always belongs to the parent component, and the child component could not change those properties. Could send events to the parent component to let the component, okay, you need to update that, you need to do something, but I cannot change your values, I cannot change your state. So in this way, we keep one predictable state. We keep it more simple, more easy to follow. The data flow, it's okay. Obviously, if our application increases, we will need some stage management system, but we can keep our data flow very easy, okay, very soft. Developer experience. Well, we have Webpack, Pro-certified rollup. We have support for JSX, for TypeScript, for preprocessor, CSS, HTML preprocessor, Shell, SAS, whatever. It's really complete. I mean, everything you have in mind is always there, Babel too. And probably if something new it's trying to be used later, you will have a solution for that. So, as I said before, the entire team is trying to do solutions around the entire JavaScript ecosystem, so you can pick whatever you prefer. And then we have this Vue CLI, that it's an awesome tool that lets us scaffold our applications in base of different templates. So basically we can create a new application following templates in base of tools, in this case Webpack, or Pro-certified, or whatever. And we are going to use the CLI just for that, just to scaffold that. Then the rest of the functionality is inside the project, so we will not need this tool anymore. So the first command is for installing the CLI. The second command is to create the project. In this case, it's Vue. Init is the name of the command. Webpack simple is the name of the template. You can take a look to the different templates. You can even create your own templates. And then my app is the name of the project. You enter to the directory, you install dependencies, and then you are able to run the project. You have an entire hello world with Webpack, Babel, and everything you need already set up, so you can focus on the development and not in the configuration. And we also have the tools. As I said before, we have tools for Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. And the tools are awesome because let you debug your application very easy. You can check the state of your component, check the properties, the events, the methods, everything the component has, you can check it there. And you can even get copies of the state if you want to follow up some bug later. You can use like a time travel solution when you're working with the state management to go to previous states or future states. So it's awesome, and will make your developer experience very flow. So let's see some code. Okay, I have this project here. I will open a terminal. So this project was created using the CLI, the same command I showed you before. First of all, let me show you the files. What I get here is the Webpack config with everything you need. This view loader it's the Webpack loader that lets you compile these Vue files. So I have the Babel configuration, everything is ready for me. You can check the package JSON, the commands, npm run dev, npm run build for production. And then what I get in the initial setup, it's this app.vue, that is the main component. Remember that components as a DOM, it's a tree structure, so we will always have a root component, and everything will be child in some way of the root component. And then we have, I create some other components that we will use later. But you can see that here I have the template, I have the script, and I have the styles in one side. I mean, I can move this to other place and should work because everything is there. And what I have here is similar to the example. I have the expression with the message property, and I have here the property data. So everything I put here, I will be able to read in the HTML. Let's execute this npm run dev. I missed the command. Okay. So this is what you're going to get when you start an application using the CLI. Obviously, you know this message, but a similar approach. So let's change it a little bit. Let's add some new things that I mentioned before to start manipulating the DOM. For example, I can create an input here, and this input has a directive that is called vmodel, that is used for the two-way data binding. And take a look, I am binding this directive with message, so I have message here, and message here. So the value will be updated automatically. I mean, this is probably the most simple Hello World example that you have seen in any kind of framework. But obviously that's not it. We have another thing that we can do here. So I have created this lower component that is a component to show an image, just that. But take a look here. I have the properties of the component. So the properties are similar to data, but the difference is that properties are or belongs to the parent, not to the child. So what I am doing here is to allow this component to get some properties that could render, could read, but could not change. So I am creating this low component. I am using here a directive that is called beIf to show or not an HTML element in base of some attribute. So in this case, I am using this prop call type with the equals old to show an image. So let's first implement this here. How can I do that? Well, basically this is like ES modules, so you just need to import it. Import logo from the path. Okay, and then I need to inject the component inside. Inside the parent component that I want to use it. So in this case, it's logo colons. Okay, let me comma here. And as I am using ES6 with Babel, I can simplify that just putting logo here because it's the same name. And what I need to do that is to put it in the HTML. So logo. It's very hard to go that way. Okay, so now you can see the logo there. I will increase the size. And that's the easy way to start using or start composing your application in base of our components. But I don't really like this logo because you can see there is no Vue.js hero there. I am really angry for that. So let's change it a little bit. I create here, as I said before, a property where I can show the logo in base of a type property. Okay, I have the old logo and the new logo. So in this case, I am creating a property that is typed with a type string and with the default value old. So I am not passing any property to the logo component, and it's taking the default value old. But what I can do now is to change that and put here type equals new. Sorry. So you can see now, this is much better, right? Okay, see what else we can do here. We're okay with that. So we have here another component. It's called modal component. I will show you now the communication. I mean, I am interacting with components. I am sending a property up to down. But now I will. My intention is to do the opposite. I mean, emit an element to the top. So, for example, I have a modal. You already know that. So in this modal, I will try to render a message, and I will open in the parent component and close it in the parent component. So let's implement this modal component here. It's the same way, modal. Oh. Here, modal. And here, modal. So you can see that the code starts to be really semantic. Okay? Yeah. And I remember this. Oh, it's really hard to code in this way. So I have them all here, but I cannot do nothing with that. So first of all, I will create a property in the parent component to allow the parent component handle how to show or not when to show or not the modal. So show modal equals false, and I will put here be shown that it's similar to be if, but instead of removing the element from the DOM, will be just put the display now. So those are just directives. And here show modal. So it's not being shown anymore, but it's okay because the property is false. But I want to make it flexible, okay? I want to be able to show it in some way. So I need an event and trigger some kind of event using methods. Methods, it's an object where you put in your view model to create. So I will create a method called toggle model. We'll set the value of toggle model, of show model equals to the opposite.
Okay, I found this.
Sorry, Siri, I don't want you. Okay, so what does I need? I need a button here to be able to trigger that. So button, let's remove all of this. So, well, this is a small button, but how can I bind this element with this button? Well, just using a directive, and this directive is called beyond. And what is great about beyond is that I don't need a custom directive for any kind of event. With beyond, I can attach to any event supported by that HTML element. So beyond :click, that is the name of the event, and then the name of the method, that is toggle model. Okay, so I can now be able to open the model, but I am not able to remove it, and even I am not able to send a custom message there, because I am having a default message. You can see that I have a property message with a default value. So first of all, how to send the message? The idea is that I can use the property message to send the value message. Okay? So let's open it again. But there is not the real message. I mean, there is not the value of message. There is a string message. And the reason is because I am sending just a string. This is literally. So with Vue.js, to send the real value of the property message instead of the string message, I need to use another directive that is called bind. Okay? And bind is great because also let you make your HTML attributes dynamic, like the source of an image, the link of an anchor, everything in your HTML attributes could be dynamic now. You don't need custom directive for any kind of different attribute. With bind, you can bind everything, even your custom properties. So the last part here is that I need to be able to close that, and I will use events, I mean custom events. So in the model object, in the model component, I will create a method called close, and I will emit. You can see that with this, I can access all the properties and functionality for the component. And I have a custom property a custom function, all custom functions start with the $sign, and I can emit an event here, close. Okay? So, anytime I press this cross here, I want to close the modal. So first of all, I need to attach the event click. So be on click equals to close. And beyond has a shorthand that is great, it's called at. So it's more semantic now. At click, I want to do that. At and beyond is exactly the same. So I want to emit that event anytime I make this click here. And then I need something to handle this event. Remember that the modal component could not change this show modal because it belongs to the parent. So what to do? Anytime in the modal component, I can handle the event using the same structure that we saw before. So beyond or directly at close, I want to toggle the modal. Okay? So let's open it and let's close it. So that's the idea, sending properties down and sending events up. But remember that the properties belongs to the parent. Okay? So the child could not change that, but could let know the parent how to do it. Okay, let's keep on. That's it for the demo, so let's move on with the rest of the presentation. So behind what we saw before, that it's the Vue.js ecosystem, we also have this, what we saw before is the Vue.js core. We also have a big ecosystem that I mentioned before with a lot of tools in base of WinNet tab. So basically we have the Vue router. The Vue router is the client-side routing to build single-page applications with the idea that you match a component with a view, okay, with the path in the URL. So anytime you change the path, you will render some specific component. And as I said before, if you have medium or large scale applications, you can add some state management system. You have Vuex that is similar to Redux in React, and following a flags pattern, you can start making your data flow more readable, more in harmony in that way. So the idea behind it is that when we start passing properties down and events up, if we have a lot of components there, it could be a little messy sometimes. So if you have something big with a lot of components, with a lot of interaction, you will probably want to move to something like that. But it is something that it's not default, it's just added if you need it. We also have server-side rendering with native support and with Node.js. Node.js is the alternative next in React for Vue.js. I have used Nuxt before, it's great. It's, you just need to follow some specific structure, but you also have templates to create applications. You can even compile your site using a static compilation, so you can run your own blog using just Vue.js components with the static rendering. You have native script and Vuex for mobile native rendering. Native script was a little bit new, I didn't try it. I tried a little bit Vuex, that is great. You have apps in the stores to try it, but there's a little problem with Vuex that documentation is in Chinese. So it was built by Alibaba, that is this big company in China, but they are using in production. They like this Chinese version of Black Friday running in Vuex, and obviously it's working fine. But well, we just need to wait a little bit for the English documentation. Well, to take away, remember that Vue.js is a progressive framework for simple and complex applications. It was based in declarative rendering and in the component system. Just this is the core, but well, we have the tools later to scale. It has a great ecosystem if we need it. And as a community, I mean, companies, developers, and a lot of people, trainers, trying to build a big community behind a really open source project. So, this is not what I pretend that you do with your own front-end applications, with your Angular or React apps. No, it's not my idea. I am not here to tell you use Vue.js because it's the solution for all your problems. I am telling you that you can do that with your mindsets, with your paradigms. So start thinking a little bit different. Sometimes it's great to build better alternatives.
Okay, JavaScript fatigue, it's painful, but it's the reason that we, or the JavaScript ecosystem is great, because there is a high level of competition and there are great tools trying to improve every day. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you very much.